Also tonight he counted them all out. Now Brian Hanrahan counts himself in on a flight aboard a Harrier. Robert Elms breaks his solemn vow and polo clad stomach. Britain's aerobatic hopeful for the World Air Games. Deployed most of the year as part of Operation Ocean Wave, involved in joint exercises with many navies around the world. But this far from home, self-defence is paramount.
Hostile 4201, believed, low level, strength 2.
Using their advanced early warning system, the observers on board the ship's Sea King Whiskey helicopters have located enemy aircraft, a role that's being performed today by half of our complement of Sea Harriers. Whilst Sea Dart is primed in readiness for an impending attack, the remaining fast jets are launched as a backup. Illustrious's Sea King anti-submarine helicopters are already deployed and assessing any possible threat from beneath. But as another Harrier's launched, the danger from above is being intercepted.
Mixing 1, splash 1. Roger, splashed 1. Going for the second. Roger, clear engage on the second. Roger, clear engage.
Splash 1. One enemy aircraft is down, but the remaining fighters still at large and closing fast on the support fleet and Illustrious herself. Goalkeeper, a fully automated gun system, is, as the name suggests, the last line of defence on board. But for the purpose of this exercise, something's about to slip through its net. Another high-speed attack, undetected by the radar system, leads to a direct hit.
Fire, fire, fire! Get them out, let's sort it out from here! Let's go, guys, let's go, come on!
Below decks, the ship's company is struggling to control the fire in a separate exercise. Their battles at last being won, and up above, the same is true.
The splash 1. This is Alpha Whiskey, Grand Slam, hostile 4201, resetting cap.
Code Grand Slam, this incident's over, but on a 7-month deployment, there'll be plenty more of those to come. The Sea Harrier will be the frontline fast jet aircraft of the Royal Navy well into the next millennium. It first entered naval service in 1980, and one testament to the skill of the Harrier pilot and the design of this classic aircraft will remain in the mind for a very long time.
I'm not allowed to say how many planes joined the raid, but I counted them all out, and I counted them all back. Their pilots were unhurt, cheerful and jubilant.
I never thought that standing on that flying deck that one day I'd be flying in a Harrier itself. But then a lot of people never thought the Harrier would ever fly. It's an aircraft with a history of happy accidents.
The Ministry of Supply has now given permission to release the first films of the fabulous flying bedstead. Designed for experiments in vertical takeoff, the bedstead has 2 jet engines mounted end-to-end. Their exhausts shoot the blast downwards and thus give the machine its upward thrust.
The problem for the aircraft designers was to turn what was little more than a scientific curiosity into a real flying aircraft, and then to find a use for it. Because for all the intellectual excitement about having a plane that did everything, what was the practical value of vertical flight? As with so many orphan ideas, it was the military who had the time and the money to experiment seriously. A precarious progress of stops and starts had by the mid-60s created the Harrier, the only high-performance vertical takeoff aircraft in the world. But this flying wonder was still regarded as a mere novelty, and certainly no match for the supersonic fighters of the day. Then its extraordinary versatility won over the US Marines. They bought it in 1968, and a year later the RAF formed their first Harrier squadron. They saw it as a ground support aircraft that, freed from conventional airstrips, could stay close to frontline troops. Happenstance catapulted the Harrier to a new role. The 70s defence cuts did away with the Fleet Air Arm's large aircraft carriers. Only the Harrier could operate from the new pocket-sized carriers. The Navy created the Sea Harrier, which came into service in 1980. There was no other option. It would have to meet all the demands of seaborne air power.
What nobody anticipated was that the Harrier's extraordinary flying technique would turn it into a top-class fighter. And it was that technique that came to the fore in the Falklands.
At the time of the Falklands, we were very much dependent on dogfighting capability. And one of the things that a pilot likes to be able to have up his sleeve is to try to create a situation where an adversary will overtake him. By using the vectored thrust of the Harrier's engine, you can slow the aircraft down remarkably quickly. As soon as he begins to overtake you, you put the nozzles fully forward again, you pick up your speed, and then you shoot him down as quickly as possible.
The Falkland pilots became fighter aces and the inspiration for a new generation of pilots.
I was doing my O-levels at school, harking back now, and I remember it being on the news on those mornings when I used to go in for the exams, and it always stayed with me how well they performed. And when I came to join the Navy and the opportunity was there to fly the Sea Harrier, I needed no encouragement. That was it for me.
The upgraded Harrier, the FA-2, with a new radar and medium-range air-to-air missiles, will see the plane through a fourth decade. But the surprising gentleness of the hover remains its abiding feature. It stunned me as much in the cockpit as it ever did watching from the ground. Planes just aren't supposed to do this.